In the quaint, quiet town of Elmsville, life moved at a predictable, leisurely pace. Nestled far from the bustle of big cities, the townsfolk were accustomed to their tranquil routines, unperturbed by the outside world. However, the arrival of a traveling carnival injected a sudden burst of excitement and intrigue into the community. The carnival set up on the outskirts of town, transforming an open field into a vibrant spectacle of lights and sounds. The towering Ferris wheel, the whimsical merry-go-round, and the grand circus tent quickly became the focal points of everyone's attention. Despite the initial thrill, an uneasy atmosphere seemed to hover around the carnival from the start. The clowns, in particular, became a topic of hushed conversation among the adults. Their performances were unsettling rather than entertaining, their painted smiles rigid and forced, and their eyes were the most disconcerting, appearing hollow and lifeless beneath layers of makeup. Children were fascinated, drawn to the bright colors and playful antics, but the adults felt a cold shiver whenever they encountered one of these clowns. One evening after the carnival had closed for the night, young Billy, an adventurous and curious teenager, decided to sneak into the grounds. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and his boundless courage, Billy crept into the darkness, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. He made his way to the main tent, where he had earlier noticed a strange glow emanating from within. Inside the tent, the darkness was almost complete, except for a faint, eerie light coming from a small box placed in the center of the stage. As Billy approached the box, he could hear soft, sinister laughter echoing through the empty space, sending chills down his spine. He hesitated for a moment, his instincts screaming at him to turn back, but his curiosity won out. With trembling hands, he opened the box. Suddenly, a cold, skeletal hand shot out from the box and grabbed his wrist with a grip like iron. Billy tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips as he was pulled into the box with a force that defied logic. The last thing he saw was the ghastly face of a clown, its eyes boring into his with a malevolent intensity. And then, darkness enveloped him. When the carnival opened the next day, Billy was nowhere to be found. His parents, frantic with worry, searched the town and questioned everyone, but no one had seen him since the previous evening. As the sun set, the once exciting carnival grounds now seemed to cast long, ominous shadows over the town of Elmsville. The mysterious disappearance of Billy left a heavy, unspoken fear in the hearts of the townsfolk, a fear that would only deepen as the true nature of the carnival began to unfold. Of Billy's disappearance spread rapidly through Elmsville, shattering the calm that had characterized the town. The once lively atmosphere around the carnival turned tense and fearful. Parents forbade their children from visiting the carnival, but the allure of the forbidden and the desire for adventure proved too strong for some. Among them were Sarah, Tom, and Lissa, three determined teenagers who resolved to uncover the truth behind Billy's mysterious vanishing. Under the cover of night, the trio sneaked into the carnival grounds, armed with flashlights and a sense of purpose. The carnival looked eerily different without the bustling crowds. Shadows seemed longer, the silence more profound, and the previously colorful attractions now took on a sinister hue. They made their way to the main tent, the last place Billy had been seen. Peering through a gap in the tent's fabric, they saw the clowns. Unlike during the day, the clowns now moved with an unnerving grace, performing a bizarre, almost ritualistic dance around the same box that had captivated Billy. Their laughter, once merely unsettling, now sounded deeply malevolent, echoing with a chilling resonance. Tom, the bravest of the three, decided to venture inside, while Sarah and Lisa kept watch. As soon as Tom entered the tent, the clown's movements became more frantic, their laughter louder and more chaotic. He approached the box cautiously, heart pounding, the flashlight beam trembling in his hand. The moment Tom reached out to touch the box, the tent flaps slammed shut behind him, cutting off the light from outside. Sarah and Lisa tried to open the flaps, but they seemed sealed by an invisible force. Inside, Tom found himself surrounded by the clowns, their faces contorted into grotesque, mocking smiles. The box opened of its own accord, and a dense, cold mist began to seep out, enveloping Tom in darkness. From outside, Sarah and Lisa heard Tom's muffled screams, followed by an eerie silence. Desperate and terrified, they ran to the edge of the carnival grounds to find help. But when they returned with the town's adults, the tent was empty, the box gone, and there was no sign of Tom. The town was plunged into a state of dread. 2 children had vanished, and the carnival, once a source of joy, now felt like a malevolent presence looming over Elmsville. The adults demanded answers from the carnival workers, but they were met with evasions and blank stares. The clowns, in particular, seemed to delight in the chaos, their eyes glinting with a sinister, secret knowledge. As the days passed, the carnival continued to operate, drawing fewer and fewer visitors. Sarah and Lisa, haunted by the disappearance of their friend and the terrifying experience in the tent, resolved to find a way to confront the darkness that had invaded their town. Little did they know, the answers they sought would lead them down a path far more dangerous and horrifying than they could have ever imagined. The dread that had settled over Elmsville only deepened with each passing day. Sarah and Lisa, traumatized by Tom's disappearance and the inexplicable events at the carnival, sought help from the town's oldest resident, Mr. Jenkins. The old man was known for his knowledge of the town's history and its many secrets. When they approached him, his weathered face grew grim as they recounted their harrowing experience. Mr. Jenkins listened intently, then led them into his cluttered study. He pulled out an old, dusty book and began to tell a chilling tale. Decades ago, the same carnival had visited Elmsville for the first time. It was a grand affair until a tragic accident occurred. During a particularly elaborate performance, a fire broke out in the main tent, claiming the lives of several performers, including the troupe of clowns. The townsfolk tried to save them, but the flames were too intense. The performers' bodies were never recovered, and it was said their souls were trapped, forever bound to the cursed carnival. Legend had it that the clown spirits, consumed by rage and sorrow, sought revenge on the living. Each time the carnival returned, disappearances and mysterious occurrences followed. Sarah and Lisa listened in horrified silence, realizing the gravity of the situation. The old man's story explained the unsettling atmosphere and the malevolent clowns. Determined to save their friends and put an end to the curse, Sarah and Lisa asked Mr. Jenkins for guidance. He provided them with a set of old, handwritten notes detailing rituals and protections against malevolent spirits. They gathered salt, crucifixes, and candles blessed by the local priest, hoping these would be enough to confront the dark forces at the carnival. As night fell, they prepared themselves for a final confrontation. They felt a mixture of fear and resolve, knowing that they were about to face an unimaginable evil. With Mr. Jenkins' blessings and warnings echoing in their minds, they headed back to the carnival, determined to uncover the truth and free their friends from the clutches of the sinister clowns. The carnival was eerily quiet as they approached. The bright lights and cheerful music seemed to mock their fear. They entered the main tent, where the air was thick with anticipation and dread. The box, the source of so much terror, stood at the center of the stage, surrounded by a circle of flickering lanterns. As they began to spread the salt and light, the blessed candles, the clowns emerged from the shadows, their painted faces twisted in rage, and their hollow eyes glowed with a spectral light. Sarah and Lisa felt an icy grip of fear but pressed on, reciting the prayers Mr. Jenkins had taught them. The clowns hissed and shrieked, recoiling from the salt and holy symbols. With every step they took, the atmosphere grew more oppressive. The clowns' laughter became distorted, echoing like the cries of the damned. Finally, they reached the box. Sarah, with trembling hands, opened it. A gust of icy wind swept through the tent, and the clowns let out a collective wail. The mist inside the box began to dissipate, revealing the disoriented figures of Billy and Tom. The clowns' spectral forms started to fade, their screams turning into whispers. The curse was breaking, but not without a final, desperate struggle. One of the clowns lunged at Sarah, but Lisa, holding a crucifix aloft, repelled it. With a final anguished cry, the last of the clowns vanished into the ether. Billy and Tom, though shaken, were alive. The box, now empty, seemed to have lost its sinister power. The tent's oppressive atmosphere lifted, and for the first time in days, the night air felt clean and free of malice. The carnival was still and silent, as if acknowledging its defeat. As dawn approached, Sarah, Lisa, Billy, and Tom left the carnival grounds. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. But the experience had left its mark. The carnival packed up and disappeared the next morning, leaving behind only memories and a field of broken dreams. The town of Elmsville began to heal, its people forever changed by the events they had witnessed. The legend of the cursed carnival faded into whispered tales, a reminder of the thin veil between the living and the dead.